and this is a lightning talk. And as the session suggests, it's going to be a 15-minute talk on the topic, why your AI knows Shakespeare but can't count, spotting hidden AI weaknesses. Please welcome our lightning talk speaker, Shailaja Thakur, research scientist, IBM Research, Bangalore.
Thank you for having me. So a quick question. I know most of you have used ChatGPT, so that's not a valid question to ask also. How many of you have used it for writing something that went into production? Just raise your hands. I want to see hands. Okay. Now, the next question is, how many of you have written something like a debugging script that sort of is for checking if your AI is making any mistakes? Wow, I'm amazed to see that. Okay. So I know a lot of you have done that, but there is a problem. And it may not be just apparent right now, but I will, once I talk about it, you will know what is the problem. So, yeah. So let's be honest. AI today is capable of doing a lot of the tasks that would have been impossible 5 years ago. So let's go through a few of the examples. It can write code, it can debug it, it can review it, and a senior engineer would just approve it out of the box. It can pass the bar exam. It has done tremendous advancements in the space of natural science. It has also passed medical licensing exams in the experimental test bed, of course. So one of the questions that comes to our head is, if our AI is so capable, so extraordinary, so brilliant, then what could possibly go wrong, right? I mean, everything is fine. But that is our assumption, and that is where things starts to go wrong. So let me tell you a quick story. Let me introduce you to Sam, who is a software engineer, who also got introduced to AI coding assistant, just like all of us. And they were excited. They started asking a question, which is that, hey, can you write me a function that schedules a meeting across time zones? So the AI coding assistant does it perfectly well. And it was deployed also, it worked fine, but one day daylight saving time kicks in, clock drifts forward, and what happens is, ideally our clock syncs, our calendar syncs naturally from internet, but here you would see that on March 10th, the meeting time remained the same, it didn't change. As a result of which, Maya showed up a little early in the meeting, while everyone else showed up later. Now, everyone is thinking what really happened, when Sam thinks that, okay, I have to go back and see what AI really did. So what they see is they go back and dig into the code. What they see is it's a very nicely written, well-documented code, but there is a subtle assumption that the AI made, which is that it checked for static offsets between the time zone conversions, but it didn't check for the daylight saving time. As a result of which, the issues cropped in, but the even concerning thing is that the test cases were also written by AI, not only the implementation logic, as a result of which, whatever assumptions our coding agent made, the same assumptions were made by the testing agent. And whatever blind spots the coding agent saw, they went to the testing agent as well. So, okay. As a result of which, it got reinforced instead of getting caught. So the point here is, we must be thinking, okay, this is just one meeting, one scheduling that got missed. What is a big thing? We can move on, right? It's still doing a lot of good things for us. But think about it. What happened? One small bug resulted in a project review meeting got missed, as a result of which milestones got missed. Now you have the project overrunning, budgets overrunning, everything getting delayed, so on and so forth. One small bug, so many cascading consequences. Now think of, this was just one AI agent. What if there are a network of such AI agents, and imagine what could happen in that scenario? So let me show you some grounding facts. I'm sure a lot of you must have heard of GitHub Copilot. These days, this is a coding assistant. It comes integrated with your Visual Studio. So many of us have naturally used it. And it it has about 20 million users, active users, and half of the code that VS Code generates is generated by AI alone. Similarly, there is another AI code editor. Many of us uses it. It is called Cursor AI. It has about 1 million users. It can also generate production-ready code. And another example is Replit Agent. It can generate fully autonomously software stack applications end-to-end without human intervention. Now, these are real examples. This is the reality. So these are used in production. And what is happening is many of them don't have a systematic verification layer. They may have it in bits and pieces, but it's not happening in systematic method. So let's look at the back of what is happening when such multiple agents are talking to each other. Now, when we are actually developing a software stack, what we have is just like a human software develops, we may have a planning agent which actually comes up with an architecture. Another agent could be writing the code, another could be just testing it, another could be reviewing it, and so on and so forth, right? Now imagine if none of these have a verification or assumption testing or checks and balances, and if there is a flawed assumption that was made at one of these stages, it literally just gets laundered further instead of getting caught until you have it all deployed in the real scenario. So this is not how a human would be writing a software development, right? So if we are moving a software developer or a human from the loop, what are we replacing it with? Are we replacing it with a systematic verification layer? And that's the question. And if we are not doing that, that's a concern. So what is the solution? Let's talk about it. So should we stop using AI? That is not an answer. So the answer is that we need a shift in our thinking, meaning that, for instance, if we come across a few accidental scenarios in the automobile, we don't stop using it. We want to do a better engineering around our AI instead. Meaning, instead of asking, can AI do a particular task, we need to ask a question, can we verify what it is doing? Similarly, instead of asking it, how good is it at a particular task, we need to ask how robust it is, and so on and so forth. And so let's talk about what is the solution for all of this. Now, the thing is, our AI agent here is a black box, and it fails, but it doesn't fail randomly. It fails in a very systematic manner. So you will have patterns when it makes error. And those patterns are not human-like. For instance, if I would ask you a question, what is 10 minus 7 minus 3? If you are tired, you will say, I think this is the answer, but I may be wrong, right? You will not make up a justification, an incorrect justification, and you would be confident about it. That's exactly what AI does. It will say, oh, there may be some complex imaginary number operations happening, and this is why I think this is the correct answer. So it will start hallucinating, it will start losing its context, and so on and so forth. So what can we do? How can we learn the behavior of our black box so that we can control the uncertainties that happens with it when we put it in some reliable setting as a production-ready system? One thing that we can do, and it's a very simple thing, log everything that our AI does, whatever action it takes. Imagine you are testing it across a broad range of tasks, and you start with this space where you cannot figure out what are these errors, literally, because you cannot figure out what they are. But over time, as you test it on many such tasks and many such problems, you will start to see a pattern forming up. For example, here you see that there is a cluster for arithmetic type problems that the model is making a lot. Similarly, as you keep on testing it on a lot of problems, you will see a lot of such patterns matures, and you will see that it makes a consistent type of error predominantly. And once we have learned that, what do we want to do? We want to act upon it, right? Because now we know how our AI is behaving. So we want to make sure that we have a diagnostics based on this behavior model of the failures that we have learned. So that's where we can come up with targeted defense. So how did we use it at IBM? We had a problem where a few of the models that we cared about they were doing very bad in a particular domain, which is temporal related problems. For example, scheduling, duration, calculation, meeting overlaps, calculations, and so on and so forth. And we ran this method on top of it to find out the failure taxonomies. And what we found is there were two types of error that these models were making a lot. One, it was making a lot of errors in BC to AD transitions. And second type of error that it was making was getting the arithmetic wrong off by one, like at many places, like +1 or -1, and those kind of situations. So a very simple solution we came up with. Every time this type of error was happening, we caught it, and we just had a very focused and pointed feedback given back to the model, like very, very pointed. This is the type of problem you are making, and this is how you should solve it, not the way you're doing it right now. And literally just that alone helped us achieve some 35% more on top of the baseline. So this just tells us that if we learn the patterns of the model, we can literally come up with a targeted defense. But how do we apply it in the production-ready system? Sure, we have come up with a proxy to learn the uncertainties of the model. So this is where IBM is working on a project which is called IBM Malaya. And the core philosophy there is instruct, validate, repair. So as we know, our friend AI agent here is, sure, it's brilliant, but it also is probabilistic in nature. So we are wrapping it under a deterministic code, meaning this deterministic code can be split into two parts. The first half, you can consider the input validation. Anything that goes into the model, it is gated, meaning you have certain rules against which you want to check it. Is it within targeted range? Is it invalid and whatnot, before it goes to the model. Similarly, then the model acts upon that question, it generates some answer. Now, instead of letting that answer slip into the rest of the system, you want it to be checked and validated against a set of rules that you would have learned from learning its behavior. And there you can check whether it is semantically correct, it is in the format that you want it to be, it is in JSON, it is in Markdown, and whatnot. Once you have checked it, we can take an action upon it, which can be either repairing it or sort of having a message and then saying to do something on top of it. Now, a simple example for a question that we were asking before, now, with respect to this project, what is happening is every question is tightly coupled with a validation and a verification. So as you can see here, there is a question about writing an email, but there is not just a question. There is also a simple verification in this case, and then a validation of the answer that is coming from the model. So so this is exactly what is happening here. And there is a preliminary study that we have done on a few use cases that we cared about and which were very, very complex in the sense that the questions were failing. Most of the questions, the models were failing. When we applied this method and we have put it into the production-ready setting with multiple such agents talking to each other and having this kind of a verification applied on top of it, it naturally just helped boost the accuracy by double. So I want you to go away with three very important things that we have learned, which is that AI fails in a non-human way, meaning it can make mistakes that are not typos, that are not grammatical mistakes. They are such that they can be hallucinating, they can be forgetting, and so on and so forth. So we really need a taxonomy of failures in place so that we can act upon it. Second, we have black boxes talking to black boxes. And that is where disaster starts to happen, because we have blind spots that are getting shared across. So we really need something that sort of is a deterministic layer around that probabilistic component so that we do not let the uncertainties slip into our systems. And last but not the least, we are not just prompt builders. We have a role that we don't have to, we have to literally architect our system, meaning We are not in the race to have the best AI. We can just live with a better AI, but we need a better engineering around it. We already have been for decades developing systems or reliable systems, for that matter, around unreliable components. We already have the tools and the methods in place. We just need to apply it to our AI. With that, I think the takeaway message here is we are in the race to develop a software 2.0. And the challenges that our generation has is majorly engineering challenges. So we want to develop a more reliable system by having much more and more verifications around AI. Yeah, so with that, I will stop. Please go over our very recently released projects and related code base if you're interested. Thank you.
Please give her a big round of applause once again. We'd like to thank Shailaja Thakur for that interesting presentation. I'd like to request Shakuntala, the session chair, to please come forward and present Shailaja with a small token of our appreciation.